there is a formula to success in social media and success in communication. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get the three parts of this formula to work together. Let's look at them. The first part of this formula is that you need an authentic voice. Then you need a clear intention. And after that, you need an interesting life. You'll be tempted to think, okay, easy for you. You have an interesting life, and therefore you're telling everybody else that their life is boring. But hang in there. There are some very specific things where actually it all breaks down, either here or here. And then nobody does this work here anyway. So the authentic voice is something that you develop over years and years and years of showing up and trying out things. And so you develop it by public speaking. You develop it in relationships, in working with teams, in sales, in all of the situations where you find yourself at a discomfort and you find yourself needing others. And the character that you need for this voice, it's very simple. It just needs to be authentic. Okay? And here, you just need to be who you are. Trouble is, you have no idea who you are because you've been following all the rules that society imposes on you. And also, all of the frameworks that tell you, use this framework to learn who you are, they don't work. And so you're stuck. You're never going to have an authentic voice that is true to yourself, that is not a framework, and is not imposed by others. You will always go through this process from the outside in instead of doing it the proper way from the inside out. And so this is the first big problem why social media is giving you burnout, because you're not being who you are. You're trying to be somebody else. Then the problem of intention is relatively simple. So I have been in these forums, and what people say is stuff like, I need to get monetized. So I'm creating the video so that YouTube can put the ads, and so that I can join something called a partner program, and in the partner program, I will get a split of the ads. So it's a very convoluted way of saying I'm shooting a video to juice money out of you, the viewer. And this is an intention that doesn't work. It doesn't work 99% of the time because it gets me to say, now let's not start from me, let's start from the market. Let's start from the trends. Let's start from the vanity metrics. Let's start with the number of views, okay? Instead, the intention here is connected to your purpose in life. Why were you born? What should you bring? What does the planet look like after you've been here? What have you been curating over this life? What were your passions? What were your projects? What were your hobbies? And this is why I follow just people that are passionate, okay? And so if the intention behind the video is that I'm really passionate about this topic, that works. That I love. If the intention is get monetized, it doesn't work. But if you were able to know who you are, you'll be able to be passionate about something, and that would be your intention, then it might break down at the life level. And let's put it very simply, life is movement. You gotta move stuff. You gotta move. You gotta move your body. You gotta go places. You got to move energy. You got to move emotions. You got to move me with a story. You got to move weights. Some people move real estate. Some people move money. Some people move ideas. Some people move people. Some people move in all the possible ways. Some people move and there's music coming out of their movement. Some people move and it's artistic, the kind of way they move. It's called dance. But if your life is boring and is static, and you're asking, I'm going to go on social media so my life is going to be dynamic. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to create a video so that my life gets better. It will drag you down to an even more static thing. And so, yes, there is a huge judgment on my part, and I'm sorry for that. But your life is boring. And it's boring because it's static, because it's unchanging, because there is no movement. So how do I solve this for myself? Well, let's do it the wrong way around. So let's do it, let's start from the life. So what I do with the life is, well, I help people. That's my movement. I help people. That's the main thing. Then, well, it also happens, but all these are all things, that would be enough. Then, well, I live on a farm, so maybe there's some interesting things. I live on a farm in Germany, but I'm from Italy. Why is that? I drive interesting cars. I live in close to an interesting city, Berlin. There's a lot happening. Very complicated story around it. My intention is to build a business, okay? But how I build this business is around the things that I love. And again, I love helping people. And I'm building this business around what I'm calling coaching for now, but I'm trying to find a better word. I'm also building it around entrepreneurship and around agency. And so my intention with most of these videos is to spread the word around a very specific purpose that I have. And this purpose is to help everyone, starting from entrepreneurs, but help everyone get through this AI transition in the best possible way. And my voice is about openness and is about being different. And this is what I've discovered, and I needed to muster a lot of courage to say that my asset is being different. My asset is being odd, my asset is being a nerd, my asset is being gay, my asset is being single, my asset is being in the countryside, my asset is being wrong, okay? Being, just not functioning in corporate, being a college dropout, all of the things that define me away from the norm. These are my assets and make my authentic voice. And you cannot reproduce it. When they will do the movie about me, well, they're going to have a very simplified version of myself. When they'll do the documentary, there's only a few things that will jump out, because being unique, being open, being different is so multifaceted. It's incredible. And so I think, then we have channels, okay? So there's a reason why I have chosen YouTube, okay? But then there's channels where you have to reproduce this thing. And the problem is that if you go on Insta or on TikTok, then there are some things that work much better. And people they think they're optimizing their life for Instagram and TikTok. They're decreasing their life pleasure. What's happening is that their life is going to shit because it needs to look great. Okay, and so they need to go to an interesting location, but just to shoot that picture. And this is a disaster, because they think they need to do that because they're copying other people. One of the things that I'm trying to do very hard while I'm producing content is not to see other people's content. Because I will get ideas and I will get influenced and I will think, oh my God, I haven't done that. I don't have the fourth angle here, or this camera is shit, or this camera is also shit, and this lighting is horrible. And what about this set? And so on. And all of these channels, they impose norms, etc. And I believe that YouTube is the one with this kind of long form, intimate way of me speaking to you, is the one that is most in line with who I am. But this applies to every channel you will ever choose. It applies to a blog, it applies to the press, it applies to TV, to a documentary or a movie. Either way, find your voice, have a clear intention, and have a life that is interesting because there's movement. Or have an interesting life, develop a clear intention, and find your voice. Whichever direction. Don't skip any of these steps. If you like this, let me know. Let the algorithm know. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.